James, good to speak to you. First of all, how is everyone?
Yeah, we're okay. Not ideal, second isolation in 30 days, but we're dealing with that, and we had a productive session yesterday, so all gearing up, obviously, for the last training session today, ready for Boston tomorrow.
What was the extent of the outbreak? Clearly, you're not going to name names, but is everyone going to be available for tomorrow?
No, we've had some more COVID cases as well, but however, because we were in isolation, we're okay to come back in. But unfortunately, some players haven't come back in because they've had positive tests this week as well.
There's been a lot more testing now in the EFL following the PFA providing the funding for that. It's not the case in the National League. Should it be? Is there any way of making that happen?
I'm not going to get into too much detail on that. It's beyond my remit, really, to be honest. We just got to keep our heads down and follow the protocols, which we're doing, and we're doing a great job of that. I must admit, we're as safe as we can be. Like I've always said, the health and the well-being of the players is the most important thing, and we can only do what we can do, and we can only control what we can control, and we're certainly doing that, and that's why 2 or 3 players haven't come back in with the group yesterday.
Obviously, financial things have been bubbling under the surface for a few weeks within the National League, and now it appears that instead of grants, clubs are going to receive loans, and that presents some major difficulties for some clubs. Are you worried now about the season being able to continue?
I'm not worried because there's plenty more other things to worry about, more important than football, like your health of your family and yourself. That's first and foremost. But you asked me the question, but again, it's out of my remit. I can't control that, or we can't control that as a club. We can only move forward with what we can control. And at the moment, we're not sure how it's going to go, whether it's going to be a loan or a grant. I know it came out yesterday they're going to be loans, but whether that's challenged or not, I don't know. We just got to keep our heads down and focus on the field matters, and that's my job. I'm the head coach or the manager, and I can only control on-field matters.
Well, let's talk about some of those things that you have been able to do whilst, obviously, the isolation's been happening. A couple of new signings in Martin Smith and Alex Whittle. Tell us about them.
Yeah, really delighted to get Alex signed. I was really surprised he became a free agent, like I said at the time. He brings a good experience in and around the level. He's obviously played League Two as well, Forest Green, so he's at a good age for us. He brings competition for places. He can play multiple positions as well. So yeah, really good addition. Great character as well. And Martin's been unfortunate in his career. He hasn't really had a run of games at the level he should. For me, he's an EFL player, so we're delighted to have him as well. He now needs a bit of love. He needs the platform to play consistently, and that's what we're hoping to give him here. And again, he gives really good, healthy competition for places, and that's what you need when you get the best out of each other. You're challenged every day, and I want us to train like we play. We're still going through a process here. It's the 2 lockdowns or the 2 isolation periods have set us back a little bit of where I want us to be in terms of fitness and how I want us to play with a high intensity. Obviously, that comes with training. You can only do what you can do in your living room. So we're taking a step back, but we have to acknowledge that and make sure we give a little bit of love back to the players and make sure we don't burn them out too quickly when we come back in. So it's crucial we get the balance right with, I think we're Saturday, Tuesday now for 7 weeks. So major challenges, but ones we're relishing, and it's great to be back in and smiles on faces and the ball's out. So I must admit it was great to get out on the grass yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, isolation is clearly not ideal for integrating new signings either. Although, having said that, you have signed players in the past and they've been in the squad straight away. So are we likely to see Smith and Whittle soon, or will it take a little time for them to be integrated into the squad?
Well, Alex is obviously cup tie tomorrow, so he's unavailable. But Martin, yes, it will be straight involved in the squad tomorrow. And I'm signing players to make a difference, instant impacts. And I think that's happened so far with the other signings, and I'm hoping that the most recent signings will have the same impact.
People have seen that Gavin Gunning has left Gloucester, and that has been a path that has been well travelled between Gloucester and Chesterfield recently. Is that one that might be strode again?
Yeah, I've seen that this morning. No conversations have happened so far. Obviously, he was contracted player to another club. If Gavin's open to it, then I'm always interested in bringing good players into the club. But at the moment, there's been no contact. He's obviously only just become a free agent, I believe. So yeah, there's no update on that at the moment.
When it comes to putting a team together for the Boston game, obviously isolation's not helped. You've got, as you mentioned, 7 weeks now of games, 2 games a week. When you came back from the last isolation, it was hardly ideal that you were playing Solihull twice in 2 or 3 days. Are you expecting to rotate between now and Saturday with Wrexham to come?
We're going to have to, but you normally get through your first game or your first training session if you've had a layoff of injury through adrenaline. It's your second and third game that causes problems, and that will be our players will be in the red zone on the second and third game if we don't rotate it. We have to rotate it. I've said that all along. I think I'm strengthening the squad here to be able to gear us up for the upcoming fixture pile-up, if you like. And that's important planning, and I'm grateful to the board and to John Crew especially in regards to our relationship. You know, it's been very, very good since I've come in, and they've supported me in how I see what we need to progress this season. This season's far gone. It's very tight. Anything's possible. So we've got to make sure we've got a strong squad going into that period.
And of course, Boston in the Cup first. What have you made of them and what you've been able to see?
Obviously, I was managing in their league at the start of the season, so I know them quite well. Very strong outfit, physically strong, organised, new stadium as well. So they've had a major uplift, I'm sure, of their motivation. It's going to be a tough challenge, especially because we've been in isolation. But again, it's no excuse as we go there, and it'll be a tough tie. One hopefully we can get something out of. At worst, it's a great challenge for us coming back out of isolation, a good fitness exercise, and we're going there to win the game as usual. We'll go into every game to win the game. Just
finally from me, there's been a few outs as well since we last spoke. Luke Rawson most recently going back out on loan. What are you hoping from that experience from him?
Well, he done well at the beginning of his loan at Alfreton. Struggled towards the end of it. That's going to happen in his development because he's a young player. There'll be peaks and troughs. So it's important now he goes and has another positive loan at Bradford. We're great for them to take him, and I'm hoping that he does really well there. And we'll keep monitoring him. I've watched his games at Alfreton. I'll watch his games at Bradford, and when we think he's ready to come back into our group, he'll come back in. But at this stage, he's best served on loan, getting his game time, guaranteed game time, and we wish him all the best for that 28-day period.
And in terms of squad numbers, are there more that you want to move on, or do you want to keep a fairly large group so that you can get through the next few weeks?
Well, it's clear that we have got a large group and there needs to be outgoings, and we're recruiting sometimes in because circumstance means that we'd lose those players if we didn't act immediately. So we have to be intelligent in what we're doing. We have to have a long-term plan. It's not just recruiting for the sake of it. The players are profiled. We know how far they run. We know how many high-intensity efforts they do. The recruitment team here know what I want in each position. So physically, technically and tactically, we know what we're aiming for. So these players aren't just plucked out of the air, oh, he's available, chuck some paint at the wall and hopefully it sticks. No, it's not the case. We're very measured in what we're doing, and sometimes we have to act quicker to make sure we don't lose that player, knowing that there's going to be outgoings in the coming weeks. And that's the plan here. And it's good. It's been really good building that structure, and sometimes the isolation has been a positive because you can take a step back, regroup, reflect and move forward stronger.
Fingers crossed that's the last time you have to go through it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Hi James, good to speak to you again.
Hi Liam.
Where's Luke Covington at with his recovery then? I think we spoke a few weeks ago and it was sort of still a couple of weeks away. How's he getting on?
That's a pitfall sometimes of the isolation period. Both Luke and Nathan have had setbacks in their recoveries because obviously they haven't been able to go on the pitch. So it's been disjointed for them in their recovery from their injuries. Different stages of recovery as well. Nathan was on the grass a little bit yesterday, but obviously he's had a setback in regards to not being able to do the stuff he needed to do. Same with Luke. So a little setbacks, but they're still on track. Obviously, there's been no reoccurrence of the injuries. It's just a case of their recovery back onto the pitch.
So is Nathan Tyson probably likely to be a little bit longer than the end of January then, do you feel?
No, he's still on track for the end of January. To be honest, he was slightly ahead of schedule. But with the latest isolation period, that's gone back to the original date, really, which will be the end of January.
And you're looking forward to seeing him in action. He's obviously a very experienced striker who did well for the club last season. A little bit unlucky with injuries this time. You're looking forward to getting your first viewing of him in training in the next few weeks then?
Yeah, he's obviously had a great career. He's had this recent problem. So yeah, I'm sure he can make an impact for us. I've studied his game like I've studied other players before I've come in. No different just because he was injured. I think he can have a positive impact for us. I think he knows he can as well. I think the style of play might suit him as well. The high intensity work we do, that suits his game, high energy. So we're looking forward to having him back. Not only that, he's a great character and great experience, and you need that in your change room.
And since we last spoke, Jordan Cropper's gone back to Burnley. Was that a sort of a mutual decision between both parties, in that perhaps Burnley wanted him to play a little bit more, and obviously you couldn't guarantee him that because players are performing right now? Exactly
that. We don't want to stand in anyone's way in their development. Young players, same as Luke. Luke needs that game time, so it's important he got his loan. And same with Jordan. He's a young player, develop him. And he's done some really good things here. Hopefully he can take that into his next loan or next game time, whether that's at Burnley or elsewhere.
And I assume that's the same for Tyler Denton as well. Obviously, competition for places down that left-hand side is pretty fierce at the moment. So I suppose it was just a case of him not being able to perhaps get the game time that he wanted.
Yeah, quite right. But we can play multiple ways. It's not just the set formation. If your principles of play are ingrained in what you do, which we're trying to build here, it means you can play multiple ways. Formations can be fluid and flexible. And we're looking to change sometimes the way we want to play in certain games, and with the numbers we've got in now down the left-hand side, we can play multiple ways.
And so from what you say then, Alex Whittle is someone who can play in a number of different positions then, because I think a few people are a little bit surprised. Obviously you've brought in Joel already from Chester, and he's another left-sided player, so he's someone who's quite versatile like George Carline then.
He is, but also Joel is as well. Just because Joel's played a certain position most of his career doesn't mean that's his set position. He's got definite weapons. That means he can move around the pitch and play higher up the pitch as well. So, like I said, in any walk of life, if you're challenged every day and someone's after your position, you're going to be more alert when you come into work, and you're going to be more fierce in what you're doing day to day, and not let your standards slip just in case you might get replaced. And it's important that we have that. But second to that, with the games coming up, we're going to need to rotate, and we're going to need a strong squad. And I want the players coming on the pitch to have better impacts than what perhaps the players have had so far coming onto the pitch, if that makes sense. I need better, and we expect better, and that's what we're trying to build in.
And is Milan Butterfield back at the club now after his loan spell at Guiseley?
He is, yeah. He's back in. He's back in the reckoning. So he's back with us at the moment.
Is he someone that you like to have another look at, or do you want to get him back out on loan again?
I can't really update you on that at the moment. Yeah, I'm looking at him at the moment. He's available for selection, but we'll see how that one pans out in the near future.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Liam.
Thank you.
Morning, James.
Morning.
With the second break in such a short space of time and so many postponed games in the leagues, what are your thoughts on the so-called circuit breaker that so many people have called for?
Well, it depends how long the circuit break is for, because I can't see the world changing too much in the next 4 weeks, to be honest. So if you have a circuit break and you come back in, I think the world still looks very much the same. I think, from my own personal opinion, I think not much going to change really leading up to Easter. So I'm not so sure about a circuit break. I see why people are saying that. I can appreciate that and understand that thought process. But for me, is the world going to change much in 4 weeks? Probably not.
Well, we've sort of had a circuit break of our own, haven't we, really, the last 4 weeks. What was I going to say? What do you think your new signings bring to the squad?
I think Martin Smith's a very technical player. Similar to Tom, he needs to create more goals and score more goals for the ability he has. And he needs to run forward more, which we've spoken about in detail while he was signing, and what I think I can add to his game as a coach and what he thinks he can bring to the team. So it's a mixture of things. He's a very technical player. He'll take the ball for us. At the moment, we haven't done loads of work about building up from deep areas because we're concentrating more out of possession. But as I'm obviously longer in my in my period here as manager, we'll start integrating more with the ball and building up more from the back. And I think Martin can do that and take the ball for us. But also added to that, he needs to run forward more to create and score goals, which he's got in the locker. So I'm hoping he can bring a multitude, an all-round number 8 midfield role, really, for him, to be honest.
With Luke Codrington still not being fit to play, are you still thinking of bringing a goalkeeper in if there's one available?
We're always looking to strengthen. Obviously, going with one goalie is not going to work, especially with the amount of games we've got coming up. So read into that what you will.
Could you give us an update on the current loan and outgoing situation?
Not at the moment, because there's a lot happening. I think I just answered that question in regards to sometimes you have to recruit in quicker than what you want, perhaps before outgoings happen, because you might lose that player. So we've done that. So we'll see how that pans out in the next 10, 14 days. We've got a large squad now, and there will be some outgoings, yes.
How important is the trophy in your plans, would you say?
As I said, you got a chance to play at Wembley. You don't get many chances in your career as a coach and as a player, so the carrot is big. But with the recent second isolation and the upcoming league games, we're going to have a balance there and make sure we don't lose players in the third and fourth game of this period because of the isolation period we've had. It would be wrong of me as the head coach or the manager to just chuck players in and hope for the best and stick with the same team. We've got to rotate it. Players need minutes, but also we need to be intelligent with it. We can't lose. You wouldn't lose the players in the first or second game. It's the third and fourth game. It'll be overloading them. So we've got to bear that in mind, and that will determine some of the team selection that I'll be forced into, especially because it's a Wednesday game and Wrexham's obviously 3 days later, which I'm disappointed about as well. Again, that hasn't worked in our favour because you would have hoped to play them tonight really and have the 4-day break, but that isn't the case. We got on with it. Again, we can only control what we can control and get on with what we can get on with.
In some ways, the match against Boston, we're quite lucky that we've managed to squeeze it in. Otherwise, we would have had to forfeit the game, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it would have been harsh to forfeit the game. I think, to be honest, the trophy can take precedent over league games if there's a COVID problem. So you could say we're lucky, but hopefully it'll go ahead tomorrow and we'll get through, and we'll look forward to Aldershot or Solihull on the 6th.
Well, Boston are obviously going to be a tough nut to crack because they haven't lost a match since the 5th of December.
Yeah, definitely that. We can't underestimate them. They've been close to coming into our league for a few years now. They've invested again heavily in their squad and also their new stadium. So they're a club definitely looking forwards rather than backwards. They're building some infrastructure there. Clearly from the outside you can see that. It'll be a tough challenge, but again we go to win it, and hopefully we can get a positive result.
Well, they've got 4 former Chesterfield players, and we all know that former players tend to want to prove a point, don't they, when they come home?
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen for sure, but not too worried about that. Yeah, it's always the case that old players can tend to haunt their old clubs, their former employees, but hopefully that won't be happening tomorrow.